What's up, guys? Time to show off a build. This is going out to my buddy Doug. This is actually a replacement build for a watch I've done for him previously, and we were able to get it pretty close to what we did before. So the build before was a 150 case that was brushed. It had I don't remember if it was a small coin bezel or not, but I think it might have been just a coin bezel in general then. I did a bead blasted small coin. The coin on the last one might have been slightly different. These ones go on pretty tight and don't really move, so I like using them when I can. Bezel insert should be the same. Did a bead blasted Kraken engraved crown. I don't remember if we had that on that. I don't have the old picture in front of me. Did a Kraken engraved bead blasted caseback, and then I just did I had a bead blasted caseback ring, but I thought this kind of gave a little bit of like a cool look to it rather than all of it just being the same like monotone back here. Did a set of Vostok 24 hands. It's the same seconds hand as before, but the ones on it before were Ranger hands. And the guy that I get Ranger hands from I have not used for quite a while. Reason being, a lot of the seconds hands that he sold with his watches, I would send a watch out and then people go, everything looks great except the seconds hands off, and he'd send it back and I'd have to put a different one on there. Some of them worked out fine, but there was a lot of QC issues. And then I found a new place that made the same seconds hands. So you don't have the Ranger hands from before, but you have a cool set of hands. This is the same style dial. It's a fully lasered and bead blasted Kraken dial that is backside lumed. And then we got as close as possible on the green leather from Jack Foster Leather. I had to reach out to him. It should be about the same tone. I know he had to order it, and it looks pretty much the same, but I don't know that it is exactly the same as before. But if it's not, I don't think you're going to know. And then I did a bead blasted buckle with a Kraken engraving here. I think possibly before this was either not bead blasted. The Kraken wasn't on there, I know that. This was before I was in the Kraken on there, so it's a very thick band. It will get more and more pliable over time, but I used a drill bit and drilled these out just a little bit to give them some movement, because this is thick leather folded back over on itself. Plus, the spring bar on these is inset a little high instead of being a lower, so you're dealing with it when you have excess closer up here. I did go back. There was a tiny mark in the bead blast, and it kind of gives it a polished look. So I disassembled the watch to where it was just the case, and I spun it on the green side of a Scotch-Brite and put in some very faint but small solid brush marks around. So sides are still done up, the back's done up, but on the front, different angles, you can see it's actually brushed. So you put it on there and you just spin it perfectly to where your lines look like milling lines, where you're not getting them kind of like over top of each other. Okay, Google, volume down. So that turned out awesome. This is a lumed dial, backside dial. So just to show that off, I'll throw a little UV light on it, kind of supercharge it. But that is your build, good sir. Sorry that your last one was stolen, but hopefully this one will not be. Bezel on it will turn left, it'll turn right. It is a tension ring bezel, and these are decently tight. Plus they're inset a bit, so you shouldn't accidentally bump them and get them to turn from like contact. Automatic mechanical, there is a rotor back here. You just cannot see it. It will keep time throughout the day from its moving. But before you put it on, you want to wind it just a little bit. And how you do that is you back the crown off the threads until you hear it and feel it clicking. And at that point, you can wind. And a wind is a turn away from you. Turning it towards you doesn't do anything, but it's a lot easier to keep your finger spacing and go back and forth. Doing this for a few seconds before you put it on will keep time throughout the day, that mixed with the rotor movement. If you do it for another 5-10 seconds or so, you're going to max out your 31-hour power reserve. You can't overwind it. You can do that if you're going to be on long trips or something like that where you're not really going to continue to get that rotor movement. When you're happy with your winding, you're going to pull it to the 1 and only click, and you can now set your time. It does not have a hacking movement, so it's going to keep going. And you'll also notice it's got a wobble crown. This deflects lateral pressure from going into the stem and into the movement, so when you're pushing and prying on it, you're not putting any adverse pressures on anything. And it also, it doesn't put any pressure on the movement, doesn't put any pressure on the keyless works. Okay, Google, what time is it? 4:17 p.m. When you're good, you're going to push it over. Get it out of that time setting. And then wind it down. Actually, I put it about 4:18. That's right about in the middle there. And now it's probably about that time. And that is your new build, sir. Got the strap in just today. As with every boat, you're going to get matching beads. You might still have your old beads, but you're going to get new beads. This is going to come in a green BVW Kraken box. You might have a Kraken box already, but now you'll have another one. And in green, I think I only had one of them too. And then lastly, you're going to get an assortment of things. You're going to get some watch cleaner. This is a foamer. Good on all glass and metal, so everything there in the center. Non-streaking, non-toxic, non-residue, as well as the microfiber. It's going to come with leather conditioner to keep that strap perfectly soft. If you ever feel that you need some pliability or whatever, put some on there, rub it in, let it sit. Do it on the front and back. Use a rag, don't use a microfiber, rag, washcloth, something along those lines. And then lastly, you're going to get some fine scratch remover. This is Novus 2 from Amazon, just repackaged. It's like Polywatch. It's for your acrylic glass because you can scratch it. But if you do, no big deal. Put a tiny bit of this on it and buff it out with your color matching microfiber. If the scratch is up and down, just go left and right, filling that scratch, haze it, buff it out. If it's still there, wait a little bit and revisit it. Let that solidify because you're building back up what was removed. And if you get to it too quick, you're going to pull out what you just put back in there. So give it some space in between, and you'll be back to normal. Now, if you scratch the case, it will probably be a little bit shiny. It will just kind of look distressed. At that point, if I were you, I would just add a few more. It's kind of set up in a manner where, you know, it looks cool. But even if that happens, it's still going to look fine. But you heard how I brushed that in. It's the green side of a Scotch-Brite. So that's your build, sir. If you want me to build you something custom and unique, reach out and I'll see what I can do. And if you want to continue to see videos like this, like and subscribe as I put them up all the time. Thanks, guys.